two members of the House Armed Services Committee, Republican Pat Fallon, Democrat Adam Smith. Now, brothers, I understand that this is somewhat of an academic question because clearly the majority in the House does not want to move in muscular fashion on this to demand any kind of interaction with the president or extension of constitutional duty. But that said, Pat, what the Secretary of State is saying, we don't have to tell anybody. Do you believe that there is an imminent threat to American safety or national security interests?
Well, Chris, thanks for having me on. Recent history, recent precedent certainly provides latitude to any president to act militarily if they so choose. And in 1974, I think it was 1974, they passed a War Powers Act that said, hey, yeah, you can notify us within 2 days, but within 90 days, after 90 days, you better get our approval or you're going to have to end the incursion or the conflict, what have you. So is Iran an imminent threat? I mean, yeah, you could certainly make that case. And now I know what people will say. Well, the president said he obliterated their nuclear capability 8 or 9 months ago. And why are we hitting them now? The reason being was they had enriched uranium to 60%. No nation state has ever enriched that much and not then produced a nuclear weapon. After they got hit so hard, you would think they would come to the table like Venezuela did and said, oh, you snatched our president, whether he was legitimate or not. Obviously he wasn't. Well, we're going to play ball now and we're going to work with the United States. The mullahs didn't do that. The supreme leader didn't do that. They were still committed to their ballistics program, and they were still committed to enriching uranium and to eventually backfill with the Chinese and produce that nuclear weapon. So the president said, you know what? It was never a question of if, it was always a question of when, and when hit.
But it's also about how, right? Adam, does that work for you?
Well, not really. I mean, first of all, the president hasn't relied on the nuclear component of this as the imminent threat. They haven't said that they were imminent to get a nuclear weapon. In fact, they haven't provided any evidence to Congress since Midnight Hammer of exactly where the Iranian nuclear program is at. So they haven't relied on that. And second of all, Secretary Rubio is wrong on two key points. I mean, first of all, the War Powers Resolution is the law. It was passed by Congress, signed by the president. It's in law. If he thinks it's unconstitutional, well, go ahead and sue and overturn it. But as long as it is the law, it's the law until somebody says, until the court, overturns it. So he's wrong about that. But second, the key issue here is what you raised. Where in the law does it say that you have to notify Congress? The Constitution is where it says. You cannot go to war, and I don't think anyone can dispute this is a war. Now, Pat's right. There have been other examples where people have used various different semantic arguments to claim that it wasn't a war. But my goodness, we have decided to do regime change in Iran. There are, I think, 10 different countries involved now, hundreds of millions of people affected. This is a war. So I think legally should, but even beyond that, to your point, whether you think it's legal or not, do we live in a constitutional republic with a system of checks and balances and an active legislative branch, or don't we? If you think this war is right, you should go on record and vote for it. The president shouldn't be allowed to do it unilaterally.
Hey, Pat, where is the line? We all know, I don't have to tell you this, the lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan, forget about how we got into it. We know we're not wrong about the Iranian regime. Okay, this isn't weapons of mass destruction. These are bad guys who do bad things to their own people and to anyone they can. I don't even know if that Austin thing isn't connected that we just live with. We'll do that later in the show. But if they say, look, we got to put boots on the ground, that's the only way to root these guys out. Otherwise, the threat is going to exist. I mean, do you believe America goes for that?
Well, Chris, just one point, too, to make real quickly. In Bosnia, when Bill Clinton was president, and then in Libya in 2011 with Barack Obama, they also did similar things. Now, this is a larger scale, yes. This is armed conflict.
Democrats have done this, too. Congress has let presidents, Democrat and Republican, do basically whatever they want with military power. Fair.
To be fair, you pose a very good question. Would the American people be for boots on the ground in Iran? I think overwhelmingly they would not. And that's why what we have here is a regime that 80% of its people hate it. They want it gone. You've got a Revolutionary Guard that's very well armed. We're going to have to arm some of the Iranians, and they're going to have to fight for their own country. The boots on the ground for the United States, at least large-scale boots on the ground. You're talking about some very minor or very small, I should say, special operations. That may or may not happen. I'm not privy to whether that will. But as far as large, like an Iraq situation, 100,000, 200,000 American troops. Iran's a huge country the size of Alaska. Iraq is a lot smaller. I think the population is over 90 million. So, no, I don't think the American people, nor do I think the administration's planning on that as an outcome either.
I got to tell you, Adam, I really don't want to relive that. I really don't want to grow on the ground and see all these Americans dying for a situation we can't win. But, you know, what is your biggest fear here, Adam?
Well,
let's end on that.
Let me clarify a few things. First of all, the American people don't support what's happening right now. I mean, every single poll says that, maybe 25% support this action. So forget boots on the ground. They don't support what's happening right here. And also, it gets to the point that you were making earlier, Chris. This is not what Donald Trump said he was going to do for our country. Iran's a bad, terrible place. Is it our responsibility to fix that? I mean, the president flat out said, elect me president, we will not be going to war with Iran. He said that.
Right.
So I think one thing the president owes the American people at this point is an explanation. So when you asked for our votes, you said one thing. Now that we gave you the presidency, you're saying something. Why? What changed? So I think
Chris,
yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Adam. Chris, can I just point out to what Adam said? The president also said that he would not let Iran get a nuclear weapon, and they weren't maybe perhaps imminent, but it was a when. And they clearly demonstrated that they were committed. And so if we backed off now.
There's no way you can credibly argue that this war was started with Iran imminently getting a nuclear weapon. There's just no way you can say that.
Pat, that's the only problem.
That's the only problem. So go ahead. Sorry.
But the only problem with it, Pat, is, and I got to leave it here, but I take your point. Nobody thinks Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I've heard at least 5. You see how much hair is missing from my hairline? I've heard like 5 different presidents say that, and every one of them was right. It's about how, okay? And you can't tell me that you obliterated the program in June and now say that they were just weeks away from industrial grade and have me believe either what you're telling me now or what you told me in June, or really disbelieving both. So he's just got to be more with the information, and he's got to be more with the rationale if he wants the people to be anything but scared. That's all I'm saying. Pat, I appreciate you. Adam, I appreciate you. All right? And I don't mean to cut you off. We'll keep having the conversation. You're always welcome to do it here. All right?